fellow Toastmasters and guests, before I start, I would just like to say that I will be using some strong language, and if you feel offended, I won't feel offended. If you feel that you won't be part of it and won't be here listening. Yes, that's a fair warning. Where the hell is that doctor? My son is injured. He's sick. I need help now. Peter was right in front of the nurse, screaming at her. He was so afraid. He'd never been that afraid in his whole life. His son had a punctured lung. He had been part of a car accident, and something had pierced his lung. And now his son was in that room, wheezing for breath, a bloody foam coming out of his mouth. And he just couldn't stand it. The doctor wasn't here. He'd waited 45 minutes. 45 minutes to wait for a doctor. When your son is right there bleeding, dying. And the nurse looked at him and said, "Sir, please calm down. Please calm down. The doctor will be coming soon. We have stabilized your son. We have covered the hole in his chest. So at the moment, he's breathing clearly. We have to take care of his collapsed lung. But the doctor is on his way." At that time, a small man came in through the door, dressed in scrubs. His hair was combed back with water. He had black puffs under his eyes. And he walked up to the father, and he just stood there and said, "Sir, I'm Dr. Bergström, and I apologize very much for being so late." "Where have you been? My son is sick!" "Well, I'm very, very sorry, sir. Right now, the only thing I would like to do is go into your son and take care of him the best I can. And I will do everything in my power to save your son." Peter still was yelling at the doctor. And the doctor just stood there. He said nothing. His eyes started to water over, and a tear trickled down slowly on his cheek. And he just stood there. And he took that abuse from the father because he knew the father needed that. He needed that to vent. And then he said, "Sir, please, let me go in and do what I can to alleviate your son's pain and to make sure that he's healed. And I promise you, I will do everything in my power." The doctor went into the son's room, and soon after they wheeled Peter's sons away to the surgery room. He was followed by another doctor and a couple of nurses, and they all were hovering around him, making sure that his minutes before his surgery, he was comfortable, and he was rushed into surgery as soon as possible. Now, they operated on Peter's son for quite a time. It takes time. And during that whole time, Peter was out in the waiting room, and he was sitting down, and he was walking around, and he was looking to the wall, and he was trying to find solace by looking into a paper that was in the waiting room, and he couldn't. His heart was pumping, and he was just walking around. He started to sweat, and he was beside himself. His son was the last one of his family, his last precious son. And he felt he couldn't breathe for the weight that was on his chest. An hour went. An hour went past. And he started to get faint. A nurse came into the room and asked him how he was doing, and had to make sure that he got some sugar and some coffee, a Coke, so that he could start functioning again. It's not easy to function when you realize that your son's life is in the bargain. Peter was not a religious man, but if he would have done all he could to pray at that moment, to give his thoughts away, and to be helped. At the moment, he had only himself. He sat down in the corner of the room and he hugged himself. Put his arm around his knees and he just sat there. And his only thought, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. After a little while, the doctor came in again. He said, I'm happy to tell you, Peter, your son is good. I have to go. If you have any questions, please ask the nurse. And then he just went away. And Peter stood there. I have questions. I don't know what to do. I have questions. He went over to the nurse's station and said, please, what's up with my son? When can I see him? How did the surgery go? What kind of callous doctor is it that just leaves a man in a situation like this? What kind of cool person? And at that point, the nurse started to cry. She started crying earnest. She wasn't weeping, but for sure the tears were falling. And she said, last night, Dr. Bergstrom's son died from a car accident. And he had to go back to his wife. Thank you.